You don't know what you don't know. And because of that, it's possible to do research and prepare before a trip, but still learn lessons and learn how to do things better along the way. One lesson it took me learning the hard way to stick is that a water source on a map is just a suggestion, a possibility, not a unchanging landmark. There's droughts, the flow of water can change over time, anything. I remember when I was on the Tahoe Rim Trail, the trail went through or near an established campground that had water provided at it, but as soon as we got there, we saw signs saying the water isn't working anymore. Their well or their water line or something was out, and I got really mad. Turns out there was a water source. It was off trail like a mile or something like that. So not terrible. We still got water. We still could go on, but just looking forward to that, counting on that, and it not being there, I learned that lesson the hard way. You just gotta remember to not put all your eggs in one basket. By the way, my name's Maddie. Beer and Beautiful Places is all about outdoor adventure of all different kinds. If that's something that interests you, I invite you to join our little online community that we're building. Also on the Tahoe Rim Trail, I remember getting up, hiking as long as we could throughout the day, and then in the last hour or so starting to look for a campsite. Sometimes it was rocky, sometimes it was in the middle of some bushes, so on and so forth. Nowadays, I use the app Far Out to look at the map, look at campsites people have stayed at, what their experiences are in the comments, and go about my day having those possibilities in mind. If I remember right, I didn't want to use Far Out to save battery and what if my phone broke. I think it's definitely a good idea to have a paper map and use the old-fashioned way, but also not using a resource that's there, you're going to miss out on some things. I think it's really a morale boost to end the day and then begin the next one at a place you enjoy, not a place that's like, oh, well, this was the only option. So fast forward a few years and I'm on the John Muir Trail. I'm going down this hill, it's raining, there's a lot of creeks flowing that aren't usually there, and as I'm rock hopping across, I step and my foot kind of slides off the rock and I land kind of hard on my right foot. And in my right pocket on my backpack is my water bottle, and on top of that is my filter. And that just pops right out of my pack, goes in the water. I remember watching it and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, here I go about to chase it. But then it disappears, I lose sight of it, and I put down my pack and I searched around in the water for a while. But if I would have gone 5 or 10 feet further, I would have been really close to a waterfall. I don't know how big of a waterfall it is, but it, best to err on the side of caution. After a while of searching, I'm just like, I gotta keep moving. It might have gone over the waterfall and maybe I'll see it downstream somewhere. I never did. Luckily, I had water purification tablets. Someone let me have a Ziploc bag of theirs that I could, transport water in. And I learned to try to identify springs, so that was cool, but a very unfortunate situation. The only way to completely avoid this ever happening again would be to carry my water and filter inside my pack. That would mean every time I want to drink, every time there's a water source and I need to fill up, that would mean stopping, taking off my pack, opening it up, searching around, okay, here it is, fill it up, instead of what I do usually, which is just unscrew the filter from the water bottle, scoop it up, put it back on, glug, glug, glug. So that would take a lot more time. I think this was just a freak accident. I'm always sure to bring water purification tablets, make sure you have some sort of backup, make sure you have maybe an extra Ziploc bag, maybe the squeezy pouches that usually come with filters. And if you stumble or slip or slide, especially on the foot where you keep your water stuff, make sure you're anticipating it falling out so you can grab it real fast. Also on the JMT, there was a section towards the southern terminus where the only possibility to resupply would be paying the big bucks to have someone deliver your food and leave it in a bear box, or you could take a whole day to go off trail, over a pass, hitch from the parking lot into town, come back, go back over the really exhausting big pass. And I thought, that is a lot of work to get maybe 2 or 3 days worth of food. What if I just pack as much as I can? As long as I have 3 meals and a few snacks, that should be okay. There's only so much that could fit in my bear canister, but I can make it work. I did technically make it work, but I was also not having as much food as I would have liked. And thank goodness, this is another really, really lucky thing that happened to me on the JMT. A group was getting off trail early, and they were like, hey, anybody want the rest of our food? And I was like, yes. They totally saved my butt. For the rest of the trail, I was eating like a queen. That being said, you know, that's like 1 in 100 chances of that happening. So if I was to ever do that again, I would understand that yes, some hikers can make it without going to that extra resupply, but I'm not one of them. This last one has been a reoccurring theme in my backpack career, and honestly, I don't know if I'll ever change. I've always had a hard time sleeping in a new place, and when you're moving along a trail, you're always in a new place, so sleeping is very difficult. For some hikers, getting that much exercise, you know, that just knocks them out. But I saw recently, and this information kind of changed my life, is that for some people, when you're getting a whole lot of exercise, that can trigger a stress hormone in your body that makes you not sleep as well. So maybe deep down, your body is thinking, oh, we were running from lions today, we were doing something really dangerous to have all this exercise. Let's not sleep too soundly just in case the danger comes back. Whereas there's no danger, I'm just on a hike. So because I can't sleep, it is very, very difficult to wake up in the morning. I've never been a morning person. In fact, I feel like I get my energy for the day around 5 p.m. And if sleep is good for you, why would I take that away from myself? But when I'm on a backpacking trip and I let myself wake up naturally without an alarm, one, I feel like a zombie. I'm so groggy. I'm sweaty inside my sleeping bag, and I'm missing out on hours that I could have spent hiking. I remember that especially sunk in as something I wanted to change when I was doing the JMT. I was embarrassed to be the person packing up when there's people on trail walking by that have been awake for hours. On the AT, I got plenty of practice, plenty of time to experiment what worked, what didn't work. And so on the Sheltowee Trace, my most recent backpacking trip, honestly, it was still a struggle. There were times where I did sleep later than I wanted to, and it was frustrating. But nowadays, as soon as I realize that I'm awake, I start changing out of my sleeping clothes, putting on my hiking clothes, packing up my sleeping bag and sleeping pad, starting water for breakfast, and then I break the tent down while the water is boiling. In the past, I would have wandered out of my tent, started breakfast, and then slowly started packing up instead of just getting going right away. Now, there are days when if I'm going into town and staying in town for the night, if I'm just really having a hard time and I need it, I'll let myself enjoy the peacefulness of the morning, but that can only be a one-time thing. What about you? What have you learned to do or not do on a backpacking trip? If you liked this video, I made one specifically about lessons learned and mistakes on the AT, which I will link on your screen. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.